Recording. Hey, welcome to the Good Morning Wake Up Show. David Cohen here with you. This is a new venture I'm launching since COVID-19 forced my hand, and because I've got no work in April. So yeah, I expect to be busy. But anyway, I'm really happy to launch this like a morning show. This week coming up, we're going to have 3 of them, and then next week I'm hoping to morph it into every day. And an hour a day of some inspiring talk to help us move through a really challenging time and becoming increasingly so. And so we've got 3 guests today. We've got Julie Birmingham, who's a life coach. Coming up, we also have singer and performer Wendy Lands. And also we have a business guy, Miguel Ribeiro from VBS IT Services, and he's going to talk about how they're managing and going online more in this time. So Julie is our first guest, and Julie hails from Centerville, Utah, and it looks like a beautiful day there. Wow. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's wonderful. I'm just in my backyard on my patio, so yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Sweet. So first of all, like, what's the mood like there? Are you going through what we're going through here in Toronto? You know, things are shut down except for essential services, and you know, there's this physical distancing thing. Like, is that happening?
Yeah, that's really big. My parents came over today with a measuring tape so that we were 6 feet away.
Oh my gosh, they're measuring. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So there is that, and we can still go to the grocery stores. Costco has been limiting how much people can buy, and that's been pretty common, I think, throughout the U.S. So yeah, it's kind of a challenging time. I've heard that dental offices are having to close except for emergency cases. So yeah, there's definitely a shutdown. I have a friend that's a hairdresser that has shut down her studio for right now, and we'll just see. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy time.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I've noticed is people being really kind and really reaching out to each other and just being really gentle. I've noticed even with my professors that I'm in school right now. I'm going to be a choir teacher, and so I've got 1 more year left. And so for this semester, everything is online, and for the rest of the year, so my choir has been canceled, and so no more performances. And so that's been really hard, but all my professors have been really understanding, and one of them had been really strict about deadlines, and she's like, yeah, we just want you to get it in and whenever. And I'm just like, oh, that's new, but they just want everyone to be safe. So that's the biggest concern, is that everyone stays safe. I was expecting to have more time myself because it was online, but then my children have to be home as well, obviously. And so there's been a definite adjustment that's had to be made with my time. So that's just how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you've been posting daily videos on Facebook, and one of the messages that struck home for me the other day was all about gratitude. And even in even in your coaching, you talk about managing your thoughts and practice, and then you practice gratitude as well.
Yeah.
So with us, like, how, because our thoughts can really go off the deep end. I know even mine can go off the deep end sometimes and into fear and paint a bad picture. How can we really, learn to manage and harness those negative thoughts and maybe images we might be conjuring up?
I'm so glad you asked this question. I came prepared. So this is my favorite book. It's by Byron Katie, and it's called Loving What Is. And it's old, man. It's like 2002 is when she did this. But I love her work. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So she says you need to write down, and it could be thoughts about the past, it could be thoughts about the present, it could be thoughts about the future. It doesn't matter, but you write down like all of the negative thoughts that you're having about whatever it is, and you can be as petty as you want. It doesn't matter. And it's usually good to be about some person, whatever judgments that come up, you just write it all down. And then she says, then you have four questions that you ask yourself. You have a question, is it true? And then she says, can you absolutely know that it's true? And then you ask, how do you react when you believe this thought? What stories are coming up for you? And then who would you be without this thought? So let's see, what's a good example? So if I was expecting to have more time for myself and I don't have that anymore, what thoughts could I say? So is that true that I don't have time for myself? Well, no, I could organize my time better. So that's question 1 and 2. I do have time. How do I react when I think the thought, I don't have time? Well, I'm stressed, or I'm more anxious, or I'm more impatient with those around me, right? And then who would I be without this thought? Well, I would probably be more calm. I would be happier. I would probably be more joyful. I would look for opportunities to change my circumstances. I maybe would be more structured and organized so that I could have the time for everyone in my life that needs me, right? So there's a lot of different attitudes that we can choose for ourselves because we went through this process. And I think processing is really important right now, to process, journal, write things down that are coming up for you. And then I call it the positive reframe, which is what Byron Katie does. And so it's, what are the stories that are coming up, and how do you feel about those stories when they come up for you? And then what's a better approach, or what's a better thought, or what would be more positive, or how could I look at this differently so that I could move forward in my life? How could I grow from this experience and be more loving and more gentle with myself and with other people? So it can completely transform your life if you take this process seriously. And I truly believe that if you do this, that you can come over any fear, any anxiety, that you can really just be a more peaceful, loving person, and that you can just accept that, yes, this might be happening, but we don't have to fight it. We can just kind of take it in and realize. We can be emotional about it. We can cry and be sad, but then we can just release it, and we can just kind of move forward and say, okay, what now? What am I going to do instead, so that I don't have to fight it all the time, right? So I think part of it is, I feel like a lot of people might be feeling like they are angry or upset at the situation. It is an adjustment, and it's hard. I'm not going to lie, it's not hard. Mm-hmm. But as moving forward, what can we do with it to make it into a positive experience? So that is, I hope that answers your question. It's a long answer.
And what have you been doing to sort of make it a positive experience? I know you've gone on hikes and with your daughter, and you're practicing gratitude. Tell us about that practice of gratitude and how that's sort of helping you to maybe reframe a little bit about what's going on as well, and helping you also manage and cope.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that would help with gratitude for me is just slowing down and recognizing. I mean, when I go up on a hike, I look around at the mountains, and I look at the beautiful sky, and I look at these clouds outside, and it's just overwhelming. It can completely transform my mood just in going outside and changing your environment. I think is huge. But spending time with each other is really an important thing. I am grateful for my time with my daughter. Well, both my daughters, really, because I've had opportunities to have long talks with my older daughter. I've had opportunities to realize the needs of my older son, and that I didn't know before because I was in school and I was so busy. So slowing down has helped me to realize opportunities to be open to what the needs are of my children. So that is something that I'm really grateful for, is slowing down has helped me recognize what's even in front of me, right? My husband has been making bread, and I'm so grateful for that. He's willing to do that. That's a hobby of his that he loves, and it's been wonderful. Just had some kisses at night, just spending time together. We've had a lot of fun movies lately. We watched Psycho the other night. It's a wonderful movie. That was really fun.
That's a feel-good movie. Right.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a crazy movie, but it was interesting. We watched Sneakers last night. That was fun. So, and these are opportunities that we probably wouldn't have if we were all in school and busy. And so watching old movies, I think, is a really fun experience to show our children that, other things that they didn't know about before that, they might not have had if they had just been, oh yeah, just go watch YouTube and we'll go do our thing. But we made it more intentional. Another thing that we've done is had church at home, which is something that's been new. So it's been a huge adjustment, but it's been really sweet experiences with our family to be able to have that time together. So I am grateful for that as well. So a lot of neat, unique things that would have never happened had this not taken place, I think.
Yeah.
So looking for that is really important. Looking for gratitude. Yeah. I agree.
And looking at the silver lining. So what did you learn about your kids that kind of maybe surprised you, or maybe it's brought you closer and deepened the connection?
Well, I didn't realize that my son, he likes learning about art, and there was an app that he wanted on his phone that is Creative Live. I highly recommend that app. It is so many good learning things on that. But it's for creative people, which we are all creative. And so he wanted this app on his phone, and it has been months since we had really realized that we had mentioned it like a whole month ago. And that was something that came up. He felt trapped. He felt like he didn't have some options on his phone. And so we took that time to set that up for him, and that meant a lot to him. And he's now able to watch these videos and learn so much more about art and about creativity. And so that was something that was really important to him. So yeah.
So it's called Creative Life? Yeah.
Creative Live by Chase Jarvis. And Chase Jarvis has a podcast as well, but Creative Live is like his baby. And he has Mel Robbins on there. He has Brene Brown on there. He has so many amazing people, not just creative, but there's stuff on finance, there's stuff on design, there's stuff on music. I use it for music because I'm a recording artist, and so I like to learn about how to use music in business and how to make money with music. So that's what I use it for. But yeah, Creative Live is amazing. I love it so much. Yeah.
Well, we actually have a jazz singer and singer and performer on after a little later, and here in Canada, I'm sure there too, the musicians and the performers are getting really hit hard by this because there's nowhere to play, right? So
right.
There's actually a fund that's been made available to help them sustain themselves through this time, and then they're resorting to doing YouTube. And doing live performances on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's a great time also to be creating, right? And so that's something that I've been focusing on too, is just creating more songs, because that is what we need. So yeah, there's a lot more YouTube performances, but even just creating your platform, making it stronger, and creating more content is really important. It's something we all need. So it's something that I've doubled down on, is creating more. Yeah.
What songs you're coming up with now and creating, are they a little different? Do they have a little different flavor or meaning to them now as maybe pre this pandemic?
Well, yeah. I mean, so my album is called There Is Hope. And so, I've been sharing my album on my Facebook page because I just feel like that is a need right now. And so it's been really unique that a lot of these songs that I've created are really relevant, especially this time. So that's kind of unique, but it's been a wonderful thing to be able to share it and say, this might help you, this might cheer you up. It might give you something to remind yourself of who you are and your purpose in life. So that's kind of what my music is all about.
So what's your purpose? And how does your purpose drive your work? Because you're also a life coach and now a performer and everything. What is your purpose, and how does that drive you, keep you going and sustain you?
Well, so I feel like my purpose is to help people see who they are. I feel like I have a calling to inspire people to remind themselves that they're important. There was a time in my life that I felt really down and lost. And so these songs were kind of inspired from that time that I was going through a really hard time of just not knowing where I was supposed to be or what I was supposed to do. And so I want to help other people do the same, to recognize who they are and that everyone has a special purpose in life, and to kind of wake up to what that is. So that's kind of my mission in life, is to help people recognize how special they are and go after whatever it is that is in their heart.
It's funny, like in a weird way, you have a choice, right? How you approach what's going on now. And yeah, it's not fun. I'm not, like I can't say like I'm having a ball either, but I think this is, and I posted this the other day on Facebook. It's this leveling the playing field, that we're all in this together. We're all equal. We all have maybe lost money in the stock market. We all don't have jobs. We all,
right.
We're all stuck at home. And money's a question for everybody right now. But we're getting by. So far, so good. Let's keep it together, right? But
yeah.
at the same time, as the playing field is leveled, we now have a choice and a freedom, I think, in that, to create from that, to say, no, this is what I want to do. This is who I want to be. This is what I want for my life moving forward. And when we're in that noise and the busyness and the getting and the achieving and the having to have and get and go and, be stuck in traffic for 2 hours every day back and forth to work, we lose sight of that. And I think now we have a chance to sort of really see that. What's your take on that, Julie?
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think the busyness of life can create a lot of commotion, but when we slow down, we can get so much clarity, and we can be more mindful. I have a practice in the morning where I do meditation and I work my body, I move, and I have something that I'm learning every single day. And that just has helped me so much to be more grounded. I think it's the small things in life that help us to attune to what's really going on. And so definitely, I think that slowing down is a way to speed up and to really get some direction. And so I think, spirituality and prayer can be a part of that. I do feel like being attuned to that is really important. But I think as long as we have a calmness about it, I think that's really important. I feel like if we have anxiety about it or we're worried about the future, it's going to be harder. So I feel like being in a fight or flight mode is going to be more difficult. And so meditation for me has been huge, to just have that calmness and to really connect to who I am and my North Star and my vision and what I want to create for myself, my family, those around me, and my community. I really am a strong believer in community and resilience. And I feel like the human race is extremely resilient. The economy is extremely resilient. And we are just, if we look for it, there are opportunities everywhere. And we just have to be attuned to that. But slowing down is, I think, a key element in being able to do that.
Yeah, and we're really being forced to, whether we like it or not, right?
Right,
So,
yeah.
Stop, think, assess, revision, reimagine our lives, reimagine the world moving forward.
Right.
Because I hope that we get this lesson that what was before wasn't really working for everybody. And I hope we really get this lesson. We're talking with Julie Birmingham. She's a life coach, singer, performer. She's based in Centerville, Utah. Just to wrap up, Julie, what I want to just tap into one last topic, and our next guest is here. You talk in your work about the power of letting go. How can the power of letting go assist us right now in terms of managing and coping with these really, these times that we're in?
So there is a book called The Surrender Experiment. And I love this book because it's basically a monk that is on this huge property, and all these things happen to him when he just wants to meditate all day long, right? And he actually becomes a computer programmer. There's this temple that's built on his property, and then they gain up all these other properties around it. And it's a huge story about how he basically becomes a billionaire because he was willing to look at his life and give up his ego and say, okay, I am no longer in charge. If whatever comes into my life, I'm going to say yes to. So there was a person that was building a house on his property, and he's like, what are you doing? I didn't even ask you to do this. And she's like, oh, it's fine, because I won't own the property. You'll always own this building, but I just want to live here. And he's like, what? And it ended up that he was like, okay, I'm going to say yes to this. And so he gets his tools and he helps her build his property. Well, he ends up that he becomes a builder because he has built his own house, and then he built this one. And so he gets known as somebody that helps build houses and to fix them. And so there's all these things that happen to him in succession that he would have never expected had he not been open to that. And I think surrendering to what is happening, surrender is actually my word for this year, because I feel like it is such an important word to just kind of say, okay, my ego it's going to be okay, ego. And I am going to surrender to this and be open to possibilities that can happen to my life that I would have never expected. No one has ever expected that a sickness, an illness, would be world spread. No one would expect that the whole entire world would become unified because it's an illness and a sickness instead of somebody against someone else, right? No one would expect that, but it is an opportunity to surrender and be open to and look for opportunities to create and to, I mean, even this interview right here, I would have never expected, but it is happening, and I am grateful for it. So saying yes, I think is really important.
We met through this, right?
Yeah, we met on Facebook. Yeah.
In this,
yeah.
And it's like, and I like what you were bringing, and your videos on gratitude, and I went, I got tap into Julie. She's like really cool. So, yeah,
oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So a couple lessons: power of gratitude, the power of letting go and saying yes, letting go of your ego, the power of self-care and having a good practice, a daily practice of meditation and exercising, and also taking time to connect and really go deeper with your relationships and friendships. Really,
yes.
Important, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Julie? Julie, if we want to connect with you after, where would somebody watching or listening get a hold of you?
So I'm at jbirmingham.com as my website. You can look me up on YouTube and iTunes as Julie Birmingham, and I'm also on Facebook as Julie Gwynn Birmingham, and you should be able to find me. So it's been wonderful to be on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and you know, just sending good vibes to Utah and the U.S.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'm going to throw over to Miguel, our next guest. Miguel, and Julie, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to. If not, if you want to, you know, do your thing.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Miguel Rivero, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. And I can see you, which is really nice.
Right.
So you're a local, you know, Toronto or Markham-based business owner, VBS IT Services. How are you managing as a business owner through this, what I'm calling an epic time? Like, how are you managing, and how are you also managing your team through this too?
Well, excuse me, we're an IT company and we've been accustomed to working remotely. So we're not having those typical challenges of setting up remote access or working in environments that people feel isolated. None of those challenges, because again, we're accustomed to doing that and have been for many years. I've been in the industry since 1998. I remember even back then working remotely, not to the extent that I do now, but you know, I've been doing it for a long, long time. So my entire team can work remotely and have been working remotely. So you know, we didn't have those typical adjustments that anyone else that has not been working remotely has had to deal with. You know, we've adapted well. You know, I think for us, our biggest challenge has been keeping up with the demand of our own clients, making adjustments.
And what are they demanding? And Wendy, we'll get to you soon. Good, welcome to you, Wendy.
Thank you.
You cleaned up well.
So they're demanding to be able to work from home, and many of our clients already had the technologies in place to do so, but maybe not entirely. So in other words, they may be able to remote into their computer systems and you know, deal with email, deal with documents and applications, but maybe their phone system doesn't have the capability of working remotely. And keep in mind, I'm working with clients that are usually you know, 20 to 50 employees, and excuse me, it's not a quick shift to set up remote access or to set up you know, work from home capability. So you know, our challenge has been keeping up with that demand to shift our clients to a work remotely environment for all of their technology.
And what challenges are you seeing in the marketplace? I know, you know, like a lot of businesses have been closing or what have you. What are you seeing in your work outside of helping set up clients? But are there any other sort of concerns or, you know, that your clients are having, and how you sort of placating them, you know, helping them through this?
So good question. I think a lot of people haven't given it enough thought and were not prepared for this sort of thing. I think that's normal. No one would expect this kind of pandemic, and you know, many organizations don't plan for this sort of thing. So this is new for everyone, right? They may have planned for business continuity if perhaps, you know, the technology failed of some sort, but this is a different kind of business continuity. This is a business continuity that involves also a culture change. for a lot of organizations that do not have the work from home capability. And that culture change is the hardest challenge for many of the organizations, because they're accustomed to having employees in their office. They communicate internally, in person. They meet at the water cooler, so to speak, and have interaction. And they can easily pick up the phone and dial an extension and speak to somebody, or walk over to their desk. Well, in a remote work environment, a lot of that changes, right? And so many organizations are just not prepared for that kind of a culture change, that kind of a new environment where people are not accustomed to working from their home office, and don't necessarily have the skills or the tools to collaborate properly, to communicate properly.
So how would you advise somebody watching today who's going through that very thing, where they're like, oh my God, I'm all by myself, or not only am I all by myself, but I got a 3-year-old who likes to watch, Arthur or Bernie or whatever. I'm dating myself. How would you coach a client to sort of make peace with this new reality that we're in, or we've been into, based on your own experience? Because you're quite happy and content from the home environment. So how would you coach somebody else to make that shift and be okay with it?
Yes. Funny you should ask, because I am working on a webinar exactly about that subject. So come to my webinar.
Well, I'm going to ask you to share where we would go.
So I'm still preparing all of that information, and I'll share it with you as soon as it's ready.
Okay.
But I'll give you some tidbits right now for anyone that might be listening that can apply some of that. Well, first of all, what's important is that you have a work environment that you can concentrate and focus. And, you see a lot of these pictures where people are working on the beach on their laptop. Yeah, that's not really working. It looks great, and sure, you could potentially make it work for an hour or two, but we're talking about a different kind of environment for working productively. And it's important to have a quiet space, comfortable space, and all the tools that you need to be able to communicate, collaborate, manage the information that you need to work with. And I won't get into a lot of detail, but that's where it gets a little bit more in depth and setting that up. And it's one thing to set up that kind of environment for an operation that is, excuse me, a single individual or a couple of people, but it's a whole different challenge to set it up for an organization that is well established and has 20, 50, 100 employees, and you've got to shift to this new work from home environment. That's a big challenge, and you have to plan it. You have to plan it so that you make sure that individuals have the right type of environment to work with, the right type of internet that is going to sustain remote capabilities for voice and data kind of collaboration. And then, of course, all of the tools that you need to work properly, to collaborate, to share data, to service your customers. And then to make all of that secure. That's another challenge. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole bunch of things that go along with it that most people don't think about. And that's why I'm having this webinar, to help educate people to prepare themselves for the work at home. And many have already kind of shifted to that because they've had to in a hurry. But have they done it right? Maybe, maybe not. And I'm hoping to educate some people on how to do it right.
And how are you managing your team, through this? Because, this is something new for them too. How are you managing your team?
Well, again, for us, it's not new. For us, it's a way of life. We work remotely to service our clients. We're an IT company, so we know how to leverage technology. And so we use amazing tools that are, you know, cost effective, that are feature rich to help us all, you know, not only service our clients, but even interact within the organization to help our team, to communicate with our team, even to have downtime. You know, Friday afternoons at 4:30, we use our, Microsoft Teams application, which Teams is a collaboration tool that allows you to do some of what we're doing here in terms of video and audio conference, as well as instant messaging, desktop sharing, and it even has an intranet capability where you share news about the organization or you know, events that are going on. So Teams is an awesome tool from Microsoft that allows you to collaborate, and essentially it's you create this virtual environment where you can have multiple people join in and you know, have just open conversations. So Fridays afternoon, that's what we do. We finish off the day by having an open conversation with the team. Everybody's on the call, and we have video on, just like we're doing right here. And we all just take turns talking about how was our week, and what do we have planned for the weekend. And it's kind of like being—
Not much these days.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like being by the water cooler, you know, talking about what you're up to, and that's what we do.
One thing, and I'll close. We're going to go to Wendy soon. One thing, I think a lot of organizations, some places, don't have a lot of trust for their employees. And I really want to honor you, because I think you've got to really, in your, you know, your position, you've got to trust your employees that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, be it at the office or remotely. So how important is that trust factor?
It's absolutely critical. You know, if you can't trust your employees, why did you hire them in the first place? That's the question I would ask. And and I think you know, trust, you build trust. You always have to trust someone right from the get-go, and you build on that trust. And excuse me, I've done that with our employees over the years as well. And so I know that they're doing their work. I'll tell you how I know. We measure it. There's an old saying that what gets measured gets improved. And if you don't measure it, you have no idea which direction you're going. You have no idea where you stand today, where you need to go tomorrow. And you have to have the technology in place to measure these metrics. And that's what we do, David. We have a software that operates our entire business. And basically, whenever anyone is doing any work, we deal with tickets. That's how we operate when we work with our clients. A ticket gets opened, and whatever work we do within that ticket gets tracked. Not only the notes, but the time it started and the time it ended. And so at any given time, I can look on my dashboard and see who's busy and who's available. So that's one way that we do it. Excuse me. Another way that we do it is that we actually record all of the screen transactions. So essentially, it's like a video of what is occurring on the computer. And the reason why we do this is not for me personally or for us to spy on our employees or anything of that nature. It's because that we're in an environment where if our client ever needs to confirm, you know, what was done, or if somebody accessed their computer, I can have proof that it, you know, of what actually occurred. So that's why we record the screen, excuse me, screen activity. We record our phone calls, and of course we track all of our work that we do. So what I'm talking about here is leveraging technology to run your business. and to track activity, to track the work, to track, excuse me, what individuals are doing. And I'm not suggesting that every organization needs to do this, but it certainly does help because, as I said, what gets measured gets improved.
All right. Thank you, Miguel. Where do we reach you?
I can be reached at vbsitservices.com or at 416-900-6852, extension 111.
Beautiful. Thank you for this.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Our next guest, I'm going to throw over to Wendy Lands, and Miguel, we'll connect tomorrow too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I stay on or drop off?
Yeah, so if you want to stay on, stay on. You want to drop off, drop off. So.
Okay. I'll get to know Wendy here.
Okay. Oh, then you're in for a treat. So our next guest is Wendy Lands. Wendy Lands is a singer, performer, voiceover person. And Wendy, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm good. How you doing? How you managing through this pandemic?
I'm managing. I feel like I've had every emotion in the book between sort of today and March 13th, which was sort of the day that we all went, "Whoa, this is real." Whoa.
I know the NBA got canceled.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and Tom Hanks has it. What? So I'm managing well, but it's taking some effort to manage well.
So what's getting you through?
Well, I'm
Julie,
very fortunate that I'm not all by myself.
Yeah.
I think that's tough. My husband and my daughter are here. We live together. We're really good roommates. We're all very self-sufficient in terms of keeping our interests going. It's interesting. We're all three the types of people who don't get bored and who have lots to do.
So what are you working on? We talked to Julie before about, it's a good time to get creative and create new things and new ideas. This today, what we're doing now is part of my creative process. So what are you doing to sort of stay creative?
I'm so excited for you. And I really feel that in the artistic community, this is a golden time. And as people are joking that babies will be born in 9 months, I think some incredible art is going to be born in 6 months, 8 months, a year from now. And I think that's truly exciting. For me, well, I have taken the past 10 days or whatever it's been to chill out because I am a nonstop creator. You came and saw my show. I created that show recently. I've just started doing it. You saw maybe the 5th production of it or something. And I just was working on getting it out there into theaters, and now, whoops, that's not happening. So I am going to take this time to doctor my show. A fantastically successful, brilliant director, Canadian director, is getting creative, and he's having a Zoom meeting for people like me who have shows that they want to learn how to doctor and work on and redirect. So I'm going to work on that. And I'm also going to get working on my voiceovers. I'm big on mastery. So I'm going to work on all my voiceover styles and try to get better and better. And I'm also going to try to figure out how to take my voiceover teaching, which I do in my home studio live with people, face to face. And I'm going to figure out how to do that on Zoom. So those are my projects.
Oh, I love it. I want to talk about your show. So for those people who are hanging out with us still, our guests, and for those watching, your show is called What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
this was a journey. I thought it was a lost live show I saw. One day we'll talk about that, I said, yeah, well, like 5 years from now, if we're still physically distancing, what was the last show?
You don't know.
It was Wendy Lands, Richmond Hill. Anyway, And that, like, one of the things, the themes in that to me was embracing. This is also a really big time for healing for people, right? Because now
Oh, I lost you. I didn't hear what you just
it's
said.
a really big
Please.
time. It's a big time for healing. Can you
For
hear me?
healing.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear that.
And
Yes.
one of the themes in the show was you had to heal your inner child, and you did so through getting lost in art and in music. So yeah, well, just gotta
There's a lot of no. There's
yeah mute it.
wind
Oh.
noise.
So you got lost in music, and that was a way to heal. So for those who are maybe going through some some personal issues that are coming up for them, personal pain or issues like that, loss of a family dynamic. In your case, I lost my dad when I was 10. How can you maybe sort of give us how did music and losing yourself in something else help you through that time of your parents splitting?
Mm, I think it has to do with getting to know yourself and becoming your own best friend. I was an only child, and my parents split when I was little in the 60s, and I buried myself in the music that I loved, the singers that I wanted to be. I also had a very clear vision so early of what my dream was to be a singer performer like the people that I was so in love with. I think if we follow our passions will lead us to knowing ourselves truly. And when you know yourself, you can help yourself and be kind to yourself and help yourself get through what you're going through, the hardship that you're going through.
I think one thing in your performance, or I don't know if it was a play. It was almost.
What is it? I don't know. It's a theatrical concert.
Yeah, it's a theatrical concert play kind of thing. And the other thing I got from you when you were a kid is your sense of creativity was like unbelievable. Like you use your sense of wonder and creativity. How does that sort of help somebody through this time that we're in right now to have that sense of imagination and wonder? Like you used to perform in the shower, or your babysitter was somebody that kind of.
Yes, I performed in front of the mirror in the bathroom for hours.
So
yes, I did.
So and, how can maybe we need to tap into that side of us right now to help us through this?
Yes. So for me, that side is ever present, and it rules. I don't know why, but I never let go of my inner child. I am my inner child. It's my outer child, and I love in my teaching and my voiceover teaching to help people get in touch with their inner child, because I think we all need that. And something really tragic happens to us, just maybe around the age of 7 or 8 or 9, we suddenly realize that we have to hide behind a facade, to not show our emotions, and to play along, to obey the rules, grow up. That starts happening so early, and it's junk. I absolutely hate it. I think that this time where we're all not doing what we normally do is just a brilliant time to get in touch with your truest passions, to take a book that's got blank pages galore and write down every dream you've ever had in your whole life. And maybe on the other side of the page, write down why you think you never lived those dreams out. And then on the next page, make a list of how to go about living those dreams.
Maybe that's the gift in this down the road. Maybe I have a real strong connection to God, source, whatever. And maybe that's the gift in this, is that we're being given a chance to have a do-over. And
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's like when you unplug a device that's not working, you unplug it and you plug it back in and it works again. I think in a way that's what's happening. I think we're having to unplug it. We're being leveled. Everybody is in the same boat. Everybody is in the same boat. And there's something kind of amazing about it, magical about it. And I think we have to use it like crazy. Don't sleep it away. Don't worry it away, but use it to dig deep and to be curious and to take yourself seriously.
Beautifully said.
Thanks.
So Miguel, it's like, I think we're going through like, Microsoft 2.0. We were using 1.0, now we're morphing into 2.0, right?
Well, first we're resetting, and then we're doing an upgrade.
What do you say to that, Julie?
But I have to say, Wendy, I love what you just said. I think it makes complete sense. I think it's a wonderful idea to take stock of who you are, where you're at, and identify the areas where you can improve and do things differently. It's definitely an opportunity for that because now we have some time to stop from our daily routine. The lifestyle that we're so accustomed to living almost in automatic, and spend some time taking stock, right?
Yeah. The I'm so busy lifestyle is over right now.
And it's killing us. It's making us a little nutty, Julie, what's your take?
Totally.
Yeah, and about
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and I've been loving what Wendy's been talking about. It just rings true, and I love that we're just everyone's in the same boat, and we're just going forward together, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's a leveling field, and it's really awesome actually that we can all relate to each other, right?
Yeah.
So
We'll
it's
need
a
to
wonderful
hold each
thing.
other's hands, and we'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My last question for you, and Wendy, I hope you'll sing a few bars of what the world needs now. My last question to you is, if we do have a song in us, how can we get that song out? And what would your song be?
If we
do
have
Wendy.
If we do have a song, I think everyone has a song in them, whether it be a song with notes or a song just of passion in them. And how do you get it? You have to want to get it out, right? I think you have to really want to quiet your mind, to dig deep, to visit pain, and to feel that pain fully, and to be curious about what's on the other side of it, and to realize this is it. This is life. That's also what this pandemic is making us really aware of. This is it. These are our days. And if you have a song in you that you're dying to sing, now's the time to do it. And the only person who would ever be holding you back would be yourself.
And your fear.
Your fear. Yeah. Absolutely. Don't let fear control you. I have my my vision board here, David, and I have
mine back there.
There you go. I know we're both vision board people.
We're kindred spirits, Wendy.
We are. So I promised myself this year that I would not make any decision based upon fear. I would only make decisions based upon joy. So that means saying yes because I'm afraid, or no because I'm afraid. Never. I have to just sit and think about my answers and only make decisions based upon joy. So there you go.
I love it. I'm going to go once around the table, and we'll come back. We'll end with a little song if you're okay, a few bars.
I'll do a little something, sure.
Your take on busting through your fears and just going for it. Like this to me is like going for it. It's like I was actually working on a radio show concept in the old way, and then when this happened, I went, well, I guess I can't sell $3,700 ad packages every month right now. So it's like, what else can I do? So your take on busting through fear from your perspective, Julie, as a life coach and working with some clients and even in your music career too.
How to get over fear? Gosh, that's a good one. I've had to get over a lot of fear, even just to write my album and to just do it. I think it's important to have a community around you. I think it's important to have people around you that support you and believe in you. That was a huge factor for me in getting it out there. Also believing in yourself. For me, it took some therapy, but having somebody that's accountable to you, that you can say, yes, I did this, or no, I did this, or I didn't, I think is a huge thing, at least for me and for those I work with. That's a big thing, but just knowing that you are the only one holding you back is huge. It's your life, and you are the only one that can decide for yourself to move forward. So it's all up to you to make that happen. So don't let fear stop you, because it really isn't real, and it's an illusion. And knowing that helped me a lot to move forward.
Nicely said. Thank you. And Miguel, any last words, thoughts on busting through your fear? Because even as a business owner, you're it, man. Like the buck stops here, so to speak.
Well, first of all, I think we have to remind ourselves, what does fear really stand for? False expectations appearing real, right? It's just in our mind. And fear is actually a very handy thing. It keeps us from harm, but it's when fear affects our psyche, it keeps us from growing, it keeps us from evolving, it keeps us from moving forward. And that's what you don't want, right? Fear is something that is hard for a lot of people to control. And I think that it paralyzes them. And it maybe come down to what was mentioned earlier. You don't have the right support group in place. You don't have the right people around you to help you get through that fear. And I think the trick is to make sure you have the right people around you that can help elevate you, so that you can bypass the fear, even if it's like for 10 seconds, so that you can actually make a decision to move forward. That is going to make a world of difference in how you grow, how you help others and the people that you serve, and how you make your own impact on change throughout the world that will positively affect people.
Thank you, Miguel. Oh, what a great start. This is the first show. So
yay.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Get a hold of you, and then if you're okay to sing a few bars of what you can sing a song you want to sing. So,
what I was going to do is I was just going to, I have this little, text from my show that I thought I would just say, and maybe I'll end it with a little singing. How about that?
Sounds amazing.
Okay. What does the world need now? Love. That freewheeling, world-changing, Martin Luther King, I have a dream making, barefoot hippie shaking, Beatles-induced coma creating, JFK kind of breathtaking, how a backrack melody gets your heart aching, because it's the only thing that there's just too little love. There you go.
Beautiful. Yeah, two little toilet paper.
Yay!
Thanks.
But you know what's not in short supply is love, is kindness.
Yes.
Is courage. And we need to amp that up sell that at the corner store.
We do.
Yeah.
And David, I think it's happening. I think it's happening from, you know, events like what we're doing right now. We're sharing some love right now.
For sure. I feel it. And those watching.
And everyone is realizing that it is an opportunity to share some love, because in some cases you don't have a choice. You're, you know, locked up with your family, and you just have to spend the time with them. And at first, I think it might be painful for some people because, again, they're not accustomed to that much time together. But once you sort of settle into this new reality, then you start seeing some of the beautiful things that you were missing out on.
Yeah.
And you start showing some of that love, and you start, you know, learning new things about your own family that you didn't even know, right? So it's definitely forced us to show more love. Absolutely.
I love it. I think I'm going to end it there. Julie, thank you so much, all the way from Centerville, Utah. Wendy,
thank you so much.
You're down in the east end of Toronto. Thank you. Blessings. I loved your show, and I can so relate because I had a similar passion, kind of. And my passion is this. So I'm doing it.
Yay! Well, you're doing it.
Yeah. So, and Miguel, thank you so much for saying yes yesterday morning at 7:30.
Yeah, you're welcome, David. I'm so glad that you thought of me and you invited. I'm grateful for being here and part of it, and meeting you guys too. Julie, I didn't get to know you much, but I certainly did have an opportunity to get to know Wendy a little bit. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and Wendy, I showered too today for this. You know, it's like you can go a day without showering right about now. You know, it's like, right? Except I have my dentist voice in my head. You know, floss every day. I'm doing that.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, much love.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Ciao.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you too. Take care, everyone.